5.4% growth forecast for economy. Rehabilitation to begin for Central-Milne Bay Highway. And relief aid reaches flood-devastated district. Good evening and welcome. This is Wednesday's news. I'm Kilawani. Papua New Guinea's economy is expected to grow by 5.4% in 2022. This follows a muted recovery of 1.5% in 2021, according to national budget estimates. This forecast was made known in a statement released by BSP Financial Group Limited. The country's economy is expected to rebound this year amidst the COVID-19 pandemic.
BSP's 2021 Q4 Pacific Economic and Market Insight, the 2022 National Budget, and the Asian Development Bank estimated real GDP growth in 2021 at 1.5% and 1.3% respectively. In 2022, the PNG government forecasts 5.4% growth underpinned by large public infrastructure spending. BSP reveals in the statement that there is potential for further upside from election-related spending, while the resurgence of COVID and low vaccination rates in the country pose significant downside risk. BSP Group Chief Executive Officer Robin Fleming says that despite a challenging 2021, BSP continues to maintain its efforts to meet the evolving financial needs of its customers. He says the largest bank in the country has maintained funding momentum with its successful SME Credit Enhancement Scheme loan facility, and total loans funded under the scheme now total in excess of 125 million kina, with a firm commitment from government to provide the next tranche of 100 million kina in coming weeks to further support the SME sector. In relation to the market concentration tax levy introduced in the 2022 budget, Fleming said BSP had participated in a consultation meeting with Department of Treasury in January and looks forward to further consultation on this with government. Meanwhile, with BSP branches across the Pacific, border restrictions have adversely affected GDP growth and increased public debt in tourism-dependent economies. Mr. Fleming said resuming travel, safeguarding health, promoting fiscal sustainability, and strengthening economic management is key to developing a resilient Pacific. He also said increasing international travel and commodity prices in 2022 bode well for economies in the Pacific region. Dennis Orere, National EMTV News.
The state and partners have signed a contract for the long-term maintenance of Magi Highway in Central Province to Milne Bay Province. The 665 kilometers road project includes existing highways as well as missing links to be upgraded and improved at a cost of over 38 million kina. The project is funded by the Australian government through the Transport Sector Support Program for 5 years. The contract was signed at the Government House yesterday.
The contract was executed by the Governor-General Grand Chief Sir Bob Dadai on behalf of the state. The contract is for the long-term maintenance of the Magi Highway in Central Province to Milne Bay Province. The maintenance will cover Goilani Bridge along Magi Highway to Gairasu in Milne Bay. The contract, valued at over 38 million kina, was awarded to Global Construction. Company representatives and Works Secretary David Wera were there to witness the signing.
These are part of the Connect PNG program to see that the existing highways are upgraded, maintained on long-term basis, while we at the same time open up the missing links on the approved Connect PNG priority network that the government has approved.
The project is part of the government's Connect PNG program. It is funded with support from the Australian government, World Bank, Asian Development Bank, and Japan through JICA. According to the Works Secretary David Wera, this is the first of more such contracts to be signed this year. This is to ensure better road infrastructures and services for the people.
We are happy with the support that the Australian government is giving. as well as ADB, World Bank, JICA on the bridges, and other partners who are giving very timely support in terms of funding part of this youth Connect PNG program, and together mobilizing these funds, we hope to recover and restore a lot of our highways moving forward into the next 3-4 years. So,
apart from the road contract, the Governor General also executed a contract for the supply of 100% health centers and 8-post kits throughout the country. The contract, valued at over 65 million kina, will be funded by the national government. The contract was awarded to Borneo Pacific Pharmaceuticals. Mary Ronnie, National EMTV News.
Aid, food supplies and tools have reached the flash flood communities at the bottom of Mount Bagum in Thalasia's Ward 9. West New Britain Governor Sasindran Muthuvel, including Provincial Disaster Director, health officials and the media, delivered the supplies and also toured the devastated areas yesterday. An inspection and assessment of the landslide was done at Sihuru, Harango and Bagum villages.
5 days after flash floods wrecked 3 villages at the foot of Mount Bagum, a joint effort by authorities in Kimbe traveled by boat to visit the affected communities. An assessment was also carried out. The flash flood last Thursday has destroyed over 20 homes, worst food gardens including copra and cocoa dryers.
Go through this natural disaster. Na me join one time what councillor below me, Honorable Richard, thank you big man me disaster na yumi lose him house tasol na material tasol na got one life me lose, so material you can arrange him anytime, you can any time, life big plus something.
The visiting team brought food rations, mats, tools including roofing irons to help the affected communities rebuild their lives. Health officers also carried out medical checkups and distributed medical supplies to the sick and injured.
Thank you big responsible government. Now, thank you to the responsible line of police. Thank you, line of Red Cross. Thank you, line especially Ausik. Saving all people, Marasin now, local picking blomy plan or handicaps.
The full scale of damage is currently assessed by the local provincial disaster team and other agencies. Other relief assistance are also coordinated in Port Moresby and businesses in Kimbe. For the locals, it's the help they needed.
Now, bami kirap bami kimna pe bami kim sabol bami kima wani sa diblo lo continue lo wani boklo. So now mi sapa now mi bili posem mi lukim na now santi kamap na mingat gaman blo mista.
Governor Muthuvel said swift action is needed when natural disasters happen and all agencies must work to assist the affected communities.
This la kind also responsibility of government na community na yumi algata mas kung imalgata resources lo how you can bring him normalcy kamlo this la place.
Calls have also been made to the National Disaster Office to investigate the cause of the landslide and if these communities in the Thalasia Ward 9 area will be relocated or not.
Mi plano sa silip good. Time rainy pomolsem, mi plano sa silip. Mi plesta paslo mi playet. So mi plano got way blow escape. Olsem na mi playet stop na mi jet, mantemol sam public man place I talk lo mi playet. Hablo sebi mi plan. Lo time bagarap by kamap. So mi plan need him to big play help him.
Because we've got all sick man stuff, all disabled stuff, all picking stuff, all youth stuff, all Papa Mama tool stuff. Request from me on behalf of community, Governor, you not meeting tripla, popla boat law, I'll be me plan with la community.
Jagla Power Jr. National EMTV News.
You're watching National EMTV News. More stories after the break. Welcome back to the news. The PNG Teachers Association is addressing various issues affecting teachers in the country. Members claim there are no representatives from the association in all provincial education boards to address teachers' issues. President Aita Sanangkepe says they are taking legal actions against provincial education boards.
Speaking to the media yesterday, PNG Teachers Association executives highlighted some issues faced by teachers in the country. These issues include teachers' leave fares and other allowances that the teachers are entitled to. They say teachers in most provinces are still waiting for their leave fares and teachers' appointment is also affected. The PNG Teachers Association is now taking legal actions against the people responsible.
Teachers issues back in the provinces. Issues with all the teachers back in the provinces, I would rather say that these issues would not come about if the PB chairman, the education advisors, if they deal with these issues properly and correctly at the province level.
The executives have given us previous instructions and we have filed court proceedings last year to enforce these particular provisions. That is after we have tried administratively, written several letters. We even wrote an advice to the executives to take it to the minister.
According to PNGTA executives, there is a committee within the Education Board responsible for the approval of leave fares. In this board, there is always a representative from the PNG Teachers Association. However, they claimed there are no representative from the PNG Teachers Association in the Provincial Education Board's Leave Fare Entitlement Committee. And the PNG Teachers Association do not know how the leave fares are discussed and approved. They claimed there are also ongoing issues between the PNGTA executives and the Teaching Services Commission.
And we were wondering why they cannot allow us to come here. Why TSC cannot accept us as elected leaders. Why Education Department cannot accept us as leaders, elected leaders to run the PNGTA. Right now, we have a very, very big problem.
The situation we have is that the TS Teaching Service Commission has decided to remove the PNGTA representatives on that board. Now, what has happened is that PNGTA reps do not know how these leave fares are discussed, do not know how they are determined, how they are approved, how much budget was given, whose application was approved. All these issues come into play.
The PNGTA president further assured all teachers that all issues will be addressed. He says all teachers must be in their respective schools to begin the 2022 academic year. This is to ensure students are not affected.
To you all is that your problems are now my executives, and it's our problem. So I wish you all the best in your teaching. And leave your problems back to Papua New Guinea Teachers Association. I would like to introduce all teachers in Papua New Guinea.
Rayon Lakingu National, MTV News.
The COVID-19 response in Port Moresby now hangs in a limbo as outstanding costs to service providers from last year still wait. The National Capital District Provincial Health Authority reveals the COVID-19 response funds, which were supposed to be managed by the authority, is being controlled and delayed by the National Department of Health for whatever reason.
So funding is a big challenge for us. COVID funding for 2021 is not been given to us. We understand, there's media publicity regarding the HSIP trust account for NCDPHA is still held at the Department of Health when it's supposed to be legally managed by the CEO for NCD, which is myself and the senior executive management team. So that's the biggest challenge. We cannot run a very successful program for 2021 without that money, that trust account being managed by us here. So we are operational. We are the operational entity called entity NCDPHA to be able to manage those funds. We've requested numerous times through correspondence for them to transfer the trust account, given the trust instrument has been signed off. There's still adamant they wanted to keep the trust account there. So better for them to disclose to the public as to what are the reasons behind them not releasing the trust account to us.
A clan in the Heights area in Hela has applauded the state's decision to release benefits to the Department of Petroleum. Chairman of Hewa Tuguba Heights Association, Aluja Jakari, says after years of struggle, people will now benefit and see community projects developed. A total of 60 million kina was released to the Department of Petroleum.
The PDL1 clan in the PNG LNG project in Hela showed their solidarity today, expressing their gratitude towards the state.
Chairman Jakari says the release of the benefits is a step forward for the beneficiaries. The Marape Basil government has released 60 million kina to the Department of Petroleum for distribution.
So, number one, I say thank you for our government, Prime Minister Honorable James Marape, for releasing the 60 million higher CAP MOE project.
Their struggle for more than 10 years is now coming to an end. A clan member says DPE is the responsible agency who has all the necessary documents to guide and assist the release of IDG and other benefits.
The only project now, look at the project stuff. So, my petroleum land too, almost pay, personally almost pay. He went to Cuba, black land, non-black land stuff in Central-Milne.
The Iwa Tuguba Association General Secretary says though many have perished, it is the cry for the people to see benefits reaching communities. He says the government must complete clan vetting and host other meetings to assist clans.
And I must also call upon the provincial administrators from the respective project impacted areas, especially particularly the Hela provincial government, provincial administrator Southern Highlands, provincial administrator Gulf, and the central provincial administrators to turn out for the EIC meeting and assist the Department of Petroleum Energy through the establishment of an Expenditure Implementation Committee Secretariat to finalize what is required and to pay out landowners MOA funding. Because the more we hold back, the more liabilities are building up on the shoulders of the landowners hanging around in the city. I think upon that, finally, I, in my capacity as the General Secretary of Hiwat Tuguba Heights Association, I appeal once again to Marape Basil government to look into the issue that is prolonging the process of clan vetting, completion of social mapping, land identification, and clan vetting. Because we urgently need to open up our ILG accounts to receive the accumulated royalty and equity parked in the central bank trust account.
Chief Amaya Ola is one of the last men standing. He is a signatory to nearly all the agreements signed by landowners, state and development partners. He says it's a relief for many.
Agreement 1990 ngoroko misane. Minulog wala may gamin na finish now. Minulog Marape government like put him 120. Me arem 60 million come out. Me thank you long. Minister for Kengekua, one Prime Minister.
We now request on behalf of Hiwa and Tuguba, through our association, Hiwa Tuguba Heights Association, we are revived now. We also ready to work with all the stakeholders involved. And few of the court cases have been, dismissed. Some still ongoing there. So we are ready to move back at home. And our government must fall in and stay with us, work with us, and we can receive the new benefit for the new PNG LNG agreement.
Jack Lopava Jr., National EMTV News.
And now looking at the Nest Fund market report, the kina closed unchanged at $0.2850 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina is buying $0.2775, $0.3842 Australian dollars, $0.4117 New Zealand dollars, and 31 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading higher, coffee and cocoa closed higher, copra closed lower, crude oil is trading higher, palm oil closed lower, and copper closed higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed lower, the ASX 200 is trading lower, and the All Ordinaries is trading lower. This is Wednesday's news. Trukai Sports is next. Stay tuned for the details.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The clock is ticking for the PNG national women's football team as they prepare for the Oceania Football Confederation Women's Nations Cup. This year's tournament will double as a regional qualifier for the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup, co-hosted by Australia and New Zealand.
The 2022 Oceania Football Confederation's Women's Nations Cup was originally scheduled from January to February of this year to accommodate for the changes made to the FIFA Women's International Match calendar. The tournament will now be pushed back to June-July of this year. The Nations Cup will serve as the region's qualifier for the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup, co-hosted by Australia and New Zealand. With regional powerhouse New Zealand having qualified automatically as co-host, the best placed team besides New Zealand will advance to the Interconfederation playoffs. These matches will take place from the 17th to the 23rd of February 2023. This will determine the final 3 qualification spots for the Women's World Cup. 10 teams will split into 3 groups, with the winner of each group qualifying for the premier event in women's world football. Huxley Lovai, Trukai Sports.
The SPPNG Hunters did not go ahead with their 2022 season launch as scheduled. Today, the Hunters media sent out a media statement that the event has been cancelled due to a COVID outbreak in Port Moresby. The club has heeded the advice of relevant governing bodies and determined that the health and safety of the players was paramount. SPPNG Hunters chairman Mr. Stan Joyce says the decision is disappointing but necessary. He said it was extremely unfortunate that they had to cancel the event. The club was looking forward to recognizing corporate partners and loyal supporters before flying to Australia, but it is important that everyone's health was put first. The playing squad and staff will remain in hotel quarantine before departing for Australia later in the week, pending travel restrictions. And that ends Trukai Sports. The weather report is next. All the details when we come back.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
Weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow. Southern region, Port Moresby, mostly fine. Partly cloudy with a shower or 2 for Daru and Kerama. Alotau, chances of few showers tonight, then mostly fine. Popundetta, some showers tonight, then mostly fine in the morning. For the Mamasa region, Ley, mostly fine. Partly cloudy with chances of late night showers for Medang. Wewak and Vanimo, mostly fine. For the New Guinea Islands region, Lorengau and Kavieng mostly fine apart from a possible overnight shower. Mostly fine and a morning shower for Kokopo and Rabaul. Kimbe mostly fine, partly cloudy tonight, then morning showers for Buka. And the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, showers tonight, then morning fog. Cloudy periods with few showers, then morning fog for Goroka and Kundiawa. Mendi and Wabeg, rain showers tonight, then morning fog. Forecast for small crabs for the next 24 hours. Waters of southern PNG Indonesian border to Daru to Gulf of Papua, with waters of Long Island to Karkar to Bogia to Wewak, to Vanimo to northern PNG Indonesian border with waters of Manus and its western group of islands, and with waters of East New Britain, New Ireland and Bougainville, seas 0.5 to 1 meters, waters of Gulf of Papua to Hood Point, seas 0.5 to 1.3 meters, waters of Hood Point to Samarai to Milne Bay Islands, and with waters of Milne Bay Islands to Cape Wogo to Huron Gulf to Finschhafen, seas 0.5 to 1.5 meters, waters of Finschhafen through Vitia Strait to CSE and Long Islands, seas 1 to 2 meters. Ocean forecasts for PNG areas. Coral seas, seas light to moderate with westerly winds of 10 to 15 knots, increasing to 20 knots. Solomon seas, seas light with northwest winds of 10 to 15 knots. Bismarck seas, seas light with northeast to northwest winds of 5 to 10 knots. And Pacific Ocean, seas light with northeast to northwest winds of 5 to 10 knots.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
And that's the news, sports and weather for today, Wednesday, 26th of January 2022. I'm Kilawani. Have a pleasant evening. Bye for now.